have one. Or no.
All right. So you said earlier, are you ready for this piece of shit? Well, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. It's Dan, the part-time Avenger, and that is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today, people, we are here at long last to talk about a movie that we have both feared watching, feared reviewing, we've feared partaking. You may say we've had a bit of arachnophobia about this week's movie, Madam Web.
Holy shit, Madam Web. So I will be honest with you. I wanted to watch this earlier just because of the fact that there were so many reviews and memes saying that this was so bad. I saw a few clips of people reacting in theaters, just laughing. It just looked like a good time to me. Yeah, I think it's no secret that the film itself was a failure, very poorly received, and not the idea of what Sony was hoping would be a good offshoot to Spider-Man. Because I don't know about you,
Is it
but
an
I don't.
offshoot?
What they wanted to do was link it in to Spider-Man, and they actually made a few references to Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, I believe, or it could have been Andrew Garfield's, maybe one of the two. God, it's been so long, Tom Holland. We need you back as Spider-Man because they can't keep making this shit. But yeah, it was supposed to be interwoven, and then they took all of the Spider-Man references out because it didn't match up. So some dumbass wrote the script, put all of these Spider-Man references, and then they realized after the fact, at least this is what I read somewhere, after the fact, they noticed, oh shit, we're a few years off on this timeline. This stuff doesn't make sense if we want to loop it into the bigger part of the universe. So what did they do? Scrapped it. So I think there's a lot on the cutting room floor
Oh, man.
that could have been like fan service and made it more interesting, but this is what we have. And it's on Netflix, everyone, so go and see it. I believe it was like number one on Netflix after it came out.
Hang on a minute here. I thought that Peter Parker was the product of the baby at the end of it.
It is. But they made in the original script, they made references to Spider-Man and it
But there
didn't
is no
work.
Spider. Oh,
Right,
man.
exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
That's the problems that they
Oh,
had.
that's
So,
not there's many problems.
but think of it this way. And I didn't see what the details were for the script and everything, but you you have someone who's pregnant named Mary Parker in the movie, and we all know that the baby inside of her is Spider-Man. And they wrote references to Spider-Man in the movie. So where the fuck did where did their brains go? Like they found this out after everything was shot.
Yeah,
And
I
so
don't
they
know, man.
started editing stuff out.
I don't know. I don't know where their brains went. Who knows what
Sony.
they were thinking? There's so many things in this movie that don't make sense. Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm parched. Just give me a minute. Just gonna. I don't know what they were thinking with this movie. There are so many things that just didn't make sense to me. I just, but it all came together somehow conveniently. Conveniently, it all made sense.
Some people do some things for money, and I just think that's really sad.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
best
man.
reference and
I,
product placement in any
It is.
movie.
It is. I've got such a headache. Here, take these. Nuprin?
Nuprin. Little, yellow, effective.
Different.
Oh, different. That's what it was. Sorry.
Oh,
It's been a while.
oh, Wayne's World 2. Such a quality. Oh,
No, that wasn't two. That was one. Wasn't
no,
it?
that was 2. It was 2. I
No,
believe it was
Benjamin was
2.
in one.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know, but it
Because
was.
if Benjamin was an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. But shout out to Rob Lowe and
Oh,
for being a dick flavored ice cream in Wayne's World.
oh man.
So, but
Everybody
yeah,
loves Wayne's World.
I mean,
But it's. I didn't know that. See, I came to this conversation curious at the hate because I, as you know now, have adopted a mostly spoiler free policy, right? There
I
are
don't know
various
how you do
things
that.
because so after Force Awakens, when I knew it was going to happen, and I knew the Han Solo was going to die, and I knew how he was going to die, and what was going to, it was just kind of sucked. Like I like just not knowing, so I've just stopped. I was very deeply into it, and it came to a point where the movies weren't as fun, so I just let it go. And I'm good at like seeing it coming a little bit, so there's that. Though this movie, in the end, nobody saw anything. But she saw it coming every time. You talked about the reviews of this movie. Let's just start out by saying that nobody on the internet thinks that this is worth our time to watch. IMDb 3.9. Rotten Tomatoes, it goes to 11. That's horrendous and really bad. And I don't know that this movie is that. What was the Morbius reviews? Do you know?
The real ones, or because if you remember, we laughed our asses off by reading a bunch of the Google reviews for Morbius. I will look that up, but I'm gonna guess that Morbius was rated worse.
I'm curious because it I think it was not nearly as bad, but actually Morbius was rated higher
Yeah.
with a
Oh my God.
5.1 on IMDb and a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. It makes no sense.
It made no money either, so
No, neither one did though.
that's another thing.
This movie as a movie wasn't as bad, but it still was kind of all over the place.
Did
Now,
you know anything about the Madam Web character going in?
nothing, nothing. And I read like a little bit of Spider-Man. My real Spider-Man influence was the Fox Kids TV show. And then I got into some stuff. I grew up right around the Scarlet Spider like arc
Oh,
that came out,
interesting.
which was totally weird and like a clone, but not like it was just all kinds of. But I was more the cartoon than the comic, because they didn't do as much. Like X-Men, when the cartoon was out, they also did kind of a reboot of the comic series, an arc to follow. So they had all that with Spider-Man. Like, what are you going to buy graphic novels? They didn't even have like as much in graphic novel form as they do now. But back in my day, we had to get back issues or reprints. Maximum Carnage had passed, but the video
Such
game
a good
was
arc,
tight.
man. I love that
Yeah,
arc right
the
there.
video game was super tight. Hang on, I'm parked.
Yeah. Well, while you're quenching your thirst with what seems to be a Pepsi Cola,
It's it's
uh,
it's it's got the script lettering and all, but the S on it might be a little loose.
I didn't know anything about Madam Web. I have seen like a few comic panels with her, old as shit, looking old as shit. So I was like, huh, I wonder how they're gonna twist this into this movie and what's gonna happen. But I kind of I didn't think it was gonna be good. Knowing that it was like the way that I thought this movie was gonna be, it was gonna be like almost like the female Avengers except in the Sony Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Well, they put all of these actresses in costume and were like there. I'm like, okay, how bad could this be if you've got like three or four spiders? Like, how bad could this be? Spoiler alert, you get fucking none. You
Yeah.
get none. Nothing.
That was a surprise to me as I'm watching this movie because you see a few of the in the trailer, like you see them in costume and everything. I was like, oh, holy shit. And I was aware of one of the Spider Women, and that was going to be what's her name? What's her freaking name? I'm trying to think of like the real name because I'm so blinded by the fake name. So it was Julia Carpenter was one of the Spider Women, and that's who I knew. And when I saw Julia Cornwall, like why I'm wondering, is Marvel like that hellbent on not letting out certain names? Because like, are they using some shit in Avengers 5 or something like that? Because why couldn't you just do Julie Carpenter? That's her, that's the character. Instead, you get General Cornwall Wallace. You know, like what the fuck is that about? It just didn't make sense. The name
You got to
changes.
keep the corn name in for the Midwest, right? All the ethanol people were
I guess,
really
man.
happy
But
with that name.
yeah, and I didn't know the other two characters either. I did a little bit of research after the fact, not much, but I wasn't like a huge extended Spider-Man universe fan in the comics. I mean, so I wasn't. I was thinking that would be entertaining, but it would also be viewed as like, oh, they're just trying to cram female power down our throats, which I'm okay with strong female characters if it's written well, if it's acted well, and there's a at least a coherent plot. And would you say that there's a coherent plot in this movie?
The movie is about the journey of acceptance and learning, right? It's the origin story for sure. It's the Bruce Wayne in the back alley with the pearls situation. It's Madam Web begins, if you will. So there's a hero's journey, right? I think
And
so.
you love that. You love a
I
hero's
think the
journey.
arc is there. I also think that things that impact the arc are shit. When the movie started out, I'm like, did we turn on arachnophobia? I love this movie. Where's Jeff Daniels? Um,
Uh,
right? And the beginning is like half arachnophobia, half Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, and I actually like as it opened, it was okay for me. And then they got to the ambulance driver thing, and like I'm not the biggest Dakota Johnson fan. I don't think she's like terrible in the character, I guess. That's not the thing that ruins the movie for me. That's not the thing that makes the movie fucking ponderous and not make sense for me. The things at the beginning of the movie that you're like, why are you so pregnant and in the fucking jungle? What are you doing? This nobody would do that. They tie that off at the end of the movie.
yeah.
Like they arc it back, which I was like, oh, oh, okay. We've arced this back. We've made this make sense, which is not a Sony Spider-Verse thing, right? It is for the animated, not for the in-person. So they arced it back, and I was okay with that part of the arc. The character and the actor that really killed it for me wasn't any of the female characters. It was Tahar Rahim.
Let's hold on. Wait, before we go into that,
I tried to not mispronounce for you, by the way.
that's fine and great job. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but
I went
I'll
phonetic.
applaud you for that.
Excuse me, I'm
So
burping. This Pepsi is very tasty and has carbonation.
it looks like it's
It's
sweetened
very,
with real
it's
sugar
yeah,
too.
it is. It's
So
tasty.
the
So good once it hits your lips.
so I got a question for you before we go into the characters because I think that's mostly what we're going to circle around in this review
No,
is
we're
the
gonna circle the
characters
wagons
itself.
like the Buffalo Bills.
But what is your version of the plot?
Mother tries to save daughter by seeking Fancy Spider. Mother security guy steals Fancy Spider, kills mother. Daughter lives, saved by spider people. Weird spider stealing guy sees vision of craziness due to his spider powers that he's going to get murdered. And he does get murdered because he's a dick.
I've got a plot synopsis for you.
Oh, let's go.
So for mine, it is woman who likes to keep to herself and is very awkward around people decides to kidnap children after suffering hallucinations. But what turns out to be what she thought was hallucinations is actually something that could happen. So you go back and forth between some of these events. Meanwhile, there's a man who was in the Amazon with her mom when she was researching spiders right before she died, uh, this guy sees the future of his own death. But in the end, he didn't really see the future of his death because he didn't die that way. That's where I'm at for the plot. I didn't go into everything else, but that's basically what I thought of that movie.
Well, I mean, they did follow the butterfly effect rule, right? Every decision you make to alter the future alters the future a different way.
Not once did they mention that
No,
in the
but
movie.
they followed like Endgame
No,
didn't
no, no.
follow the
I
Back to the
get it.
Future rules. They followed the Back to the Future rules with time travel, time or you know what I mean? They followed the rules with consciousness travel, which didn't bother me. Like, that's her power. They were consistent with her power. They mentioned it early in the movie about the web. The name makes sense, like the premise. Okay, it makes sense. Like Morbius didn't make sense. This makes sense from a Madam Web perspective. Like her character made sense to me. They give the visions of the three girls in the spidery stuff, but you don't know how they get there. And based on the movie, they didn't get bit by the spider at all.
Right.
So as of
So
right now, they don't have powers. So that's not a thing.
so did she just completely Judgment
She
Day this thing and now they're not going to have powers. Now they're just going to be three. I think that this is really what's going to happen
They're
because I
just
don't
going to be the
see
three best friends that anybody could have.
I'm there's going to be the hypocrisy is going to be strong in this episode because there's going to be times where I defend it. There's going to be times where I will attack it. And then there's going to be times where I just absolutely just execute it.
Yeah, no,
So
there's parts of this movie that I'm just like, this wouldn't work.
why don't we bring some reality into this and talk about the actual characters? So you
Okay.
were talking about Dakota Johnson as Cassie Webb. Nice little nod to the character. And so like, yeah, they stuck with it for that. I don't know what Cassandra Webb's occupation was in the comics. I don't know if it was an ambulance driver or if she was friends with uh, Ben Parker, played by one of our favorites, right? So I mean, I can't think about him without thinking about Step Brothers, right? Adam Scott. So
Yeah. Well, or Parks and
just,
Rec.
yeah, yeah. Oh man. So they got a funny actor to do nothing funny.
Ha!
It was
Maybe
like
he was
such a
trying to be
freaking
more
waste.
serious. Yeah.
So Dakota Johnson had funny moments, but it was more so just like, oh, I love the fact that she's just so awkward and doesn't want to be at this fucking baby shower. That's like where I thought the humor was there, but it could have been more humorous and funny if it was someone else besides Dakota Johnson. I think, is for the character, yes, she's playing it as well as she thought that she could, based off of the writing. But it's just, it's not, where is the humor in the movie? I don't know because it's certainly not coming from the guy who's been in multiple comedies and is known for his comedic chops. It's everything else that's not supposed to be funny. Dakota Johnson's effort at humor, I thought it was fine. It just I don't think that was the right direction to go for this particular movie. Like
Well,
you need to have some of that humor where Marvel gets knocked for like, oh, everything's and for Marvel's a comedy. Like you still need to have like comedic effects in there and comedic moments. They tried to, the execution just fell flat.
I don't know, man. There were certain parts of that movie that always made me laugh.
Yeah, that stuff is funny. Like the stuff that's not supposed to be funny is funny. So that's my problem with it. But I don't think Dakota Johnson is worthy of a leading role. I think that's where my thought is. This is not, that might sound pretty mean, but at the same time, can you remember a lead role from Dakota Johnson where you were like, "Yep, she's an excellent actress"?
I don't celebrate her entire catalog, so I can't give a great answer to that. I did not see any of the Grays or the 50 movies, right? I was not a
Same movies, same 50 Shades
yeah.
of Grey, those same movies.
Yeah, I didn't see those. I didn't watch any of those. I don't remember her in Bad Times at the El Royale or in Social Network being that big of a character,
She was
right?
definitely a big character in Bad Times. I thought actually
Maybe
thought
she
she was
just annoyed
okay
me.
there, but she wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't
Yeah.
like oh man, I'm really rooting for that character. It was just like, oh, this person's up shit creek right now, and so is everyone else. But
Yeah.
that was my thought on that. But I think there's just something about her. She has like resting bitch face all the time, if that makes sense. I don't think that she's emoting very well. I know she was like talking a little bit of shit about Madam Web after the fact because she actually, the way that it was supposedly pitched to her, she thought she was part of the MCU. And so I don't know if that's just like a flub on Sony's part or if that's legitimately just her bad. Like, oh, Marvel movie? Great. MCU? I think that's the same thing, right? No.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact she trashed her own movie. Like I'm okay with that because the artist should be able to say when they're sold a bill of goods. You know, they obviously tried to stack this with names that
Really? What names?
well, um from the cast list, like there were recognizable names on this cast list.
Who?
Dakota Johnson, love it or hate it, is a recognizable name.
Okay.
Sydney Sweeney is fairly big, right? They got
At that point though, she when she was cast, the only thing that she had done was Euphoria.
well, Euphoria was pretty fucking big.
Yeah. But
Um,
not a movie star by any means.
yeah,
So I'll go again. And now she is now. She's like the it girl now, but I would say at the time of casting, no, not a I don't think star-studded cast, far from it.
Isabella Moner or Merced was in a
Yeah.
couple was in what?
No, just I'm just applauding the
Her old
pronunciation of the
name
name.
was her last name changed. She used to be credited under Moner or Moner. When she was in Transformers, she was in Instant Family. She'd done some other movies, including live action Dora. So like she had a good couple of roles coming into this that were, fairly like decent sized movies. Cameos or what probably weren't cameos at the time, right? With Emma Roberts and Mike Epps and Adam Scott, like those are not like small potatoes people. They're not
Yes, they
huge.
are. They're absolutely small potatoes
Mhm.
people. Mike Epps is not on anyone's top 50 cast list. Not saying Mike
But
Epps
he's
isn't funny. I
yeah,
love Mike Epps, like in the Fridays,
I mean,
like
he's not,
hilarious.
yeah, he's not, I mean, they're not, A-list, but this is not a terrible ensemble. You've got Celeste O'Connor, who's in the Ghostbusters movies, who I thought was funny in this movie. Like she I think they expected the
Oh,
girls,
really?
I think they expected the girls to carry more comic relief, and Sydney Sweeney is just not funny. Um, so that's the hard part. Like,
It was the most. So Sydney, let's talk about Sydney Sweeney for a second.
oh
So
God.
the most unbelievable nerd ever.
Yeah, she's not very. Did you? I know you said you flew recently. Somebody I talked to watched the Sydney Sweeney and some other guy movie, the guy from Top Gun movie.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone but you. I told you that I watched that.
Yeah, I heard that it was absolutely horrible, and it was solely because of her.
No, I don't think it was horror. I had an all right time watching it. It was
Yeah,
entertaining for a rom-com flick. But then again, I like Glenn Powell, so it's kind of like he can do no wrong.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
I
he's going to be the it guy now for like everyone
oh
wants to
yeah,
cast Glenn
no,
Powell for
he's
everything.
mhm. And the three girls that they picked, right? The Spiderettes, if you will, like not nothing actresses. And I think it was written for them to carry a certain amount of banter. To your point, like the nerd role, not Sydney Sweeney's best, like not putting her in a situation to succeed. We've seen her be able to play absolutely bitchy and catty roles really well. That wasn't balanced and possibly edited. It was either written or edited poorly.
Maybe both.
Yeah, I did all the way. But like that, I think was meant to be the comic relief because it's an ensemble like that. It's the back and forth, you know, and it turned out to just be toxic, like Brittany was talking about.
Yeah, it but like Sydney Sweeney cast as the nerd was like the most ridiculous thing. It looked like she was a stripper trying to dress like a Britney Spears cosplay type thing. That's really what it looked like. Um and I don't think, she's attractive, sure, but at the same time, I don't like it's just not my idea of hot, like it, and I'm sure I'll get like roasted on this one on the internet because like, oh, Sydney Sweeney's so beautiful, blah blah blah. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying that, like, yes, she's the it girl right now, and just poor casting choice on that, or just a poor way that they wanted to portray that particular character. Like
What
you could have
character?
had.
There wasn't much to. Oh, my parents don't love me.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. It's like the worst. It's the
yeah.
absolute worst in terms of building. So who do you get? You
I
get
ran
someone
away to
who's
make them
known for their
sad.
sex appeal, and you turn her into a
And you
nerd
and you
loner
button the top
runaway.
button. That's
Yeah.
that's that's
Yeah,
funny.
that's all I think. And
Um,
in glasses. You did the whole she's all that thing where it's like you add
yeah,
some
but you
glasses in.
didn't all that it. You just said she's a
Yeah.
big nerd. Um, you tease the idea of her hanging upside down in the Spider-Man thing. Like, it would have been so cool to actually watch a fight with the three of them and like get more into that. Like, super cool. But they in this movie, I think, did not lean into the Spider-Man-ness. Case
Which
in
they
point.
couldn't.
But wait, they had one. Tahir Rahim.
Oh, he was awful.
He was awful, and his character was the Morbius of this movie. An overpowered villain that didn't know and didn't use his powers. Like, there's
I would
zero chance that homeboy can get outrun by four women walking, for men walking, for anybody walking. Like, oh, we're just walking, but where's the web swinging? Where's the anything?
Yeah, I think that was something too that they didn't want to do because they were trying to distance it from Spider-Man because Spider-Man has his own type of thing.
He was just
Um,
he had the whole thing.
yeah, that is weird, right? Like, why did he dress exactly like Spider-Man? And I think that was another thing that was just like a really big miss of like, hey, we're gonna really incorporate this and
Did they think,
make it.
oh man, if we have them call him Spider-Man, then the other Spider-Man's going to be really vilified when he. Oh no, we fucked up.
Yeah, just called him
But they
crawly
put him in
ceiling
the
guy.
Spider-Man suit. They sure the hell did that, and for no reason,
He was just cast poorly because
because he couldn't
with
act.
his accent and his delivery, it just didn't seem like that could be a normal everyday life interaction with someone. Like, no, I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna look down on someone if they have an accent. But when it comes to like a movie where they're trying to be like this menacing person, like a Javier Bardem and his type of delivery
Yeah,
is a lot better in comparison to this guy's.
I don't disagree with you, but the suit made no sense. The guys in the jungle didn't wear it. It didn't just come from nowhere. It's not an alien from the sky.
They look similar like that in the jungle. They had like the little fucking spider veins or whatever the fuck you want to call them running
Yeah,
down
but
their
they didn't have
bodies.
the mask that did the eyes exactly like Spider-Man.
But it was similar. I mean, they definitely took a play. So like, what did Peter Parker do? Just notice that there were these people there. Like, there's too many holes in this plot and the development of like the script to where how they can like connect it to Spider-Man. So like you can't say that Spider-Man got his inspiration from these guys. Like no, that's fucking bullshit. It was him, all his idea, his design, what he wanted to do. And that's why people were pissed off that, Tony Stark gave him his suit in Civil War. Like at least it's better than what we saw in this movie.
I agree. And they retconned that in the new Spidey, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
good. But he had the spangly blue, right?
Too
Sparkles,
blue. Still too blue.
sparkles. But I think that much like Morbius, the thing that sunk this movie was all about the male lead.
You think it's him? It's all based off of him.
I think it's that character, right? Like the way that they approached it, it basically was the same problem as Morbius. The Spider guy had inconsistent power, inconsistent smarts, just inconsistent, overpowered in some spaces, underpowered in others where it didn't make sense. Like none of it. And where's the Spidey sense? Where's the Peter Tingle? Like if you're gonna make us assume that you get Spider-Man like powers from getting bit by the spider. You can climb walls, you can move real fast, you can do all that shit. Where's the Peter Tingle? Everybody else that got bit by a spider had a Peter Tingle. The Pepsi S should not have smushed him. He should have seen it coming.
Isn't that shit though? Like, so he saw the way he died, and he doesn't die that way. Like, what the fuck? He doesn't
He
die
apparently didn't
fighting.
sleep the day before he fought them. He was on
Oh
an
man,
all-night bender to murder.
gosh, I don't know. I had a problem with that. Like you can be in multiple places at once. Like, no, you can't. No, you cannot.
Well,
The
it's
reason
basically
why,
like it was the rules of Click, the Adam Sandler movie. Her brain could just rewind itself to where it was before, and she could be in that consciousness and take over.
it just you can't do it that way. You want to know why? Because you just made that person too powerful. Why would there be any reason for her to even need anyone else's help if
Why
she
did
could
she
be in
lose her
multiple
eyesight
places?
if she could have been like, oh, 5 seconds beforehand and dodge it?
Yeah, didn't see that shit coming, did you, bitch?
Like I said, the character development is the thing that usually pisses me off about bad superhero movies. And I thought the character development was great. The use of the power, maybe she didn't quite get it yet, right? Maybe she's still learning it. Maybe she doesn't know how to activate it. Like there was some kind of, it was like when she was sneezing or heard a loud noise or something that like jumped her back. Like, did she have full ownership of the power? Did she take responsibility to gain great power? Did you catch that?
Oh God, that was the
Oh God.
worst.
Oh, they did the thing. My wife was like, "Oh, they did the thing," and I was like, "They didn't do it well.
Yeah.
Didn't
You
do it
know
well."
what? Like I liked Tom Holland's Peter Parker's explanation of that in Civil War. Even though it was like clunky, it
Hmm.
made sense because it's a kid explaining it. And
Yeah,
and that's like, okay, yeah, totally makes sense. And I like the way that they did it because it's not just, you know, the with great power comes great
yeah,
responsibility, like Uncle Ben line. I'm glad that Aunt May was able to say it because that was like a shocker right there. Like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen.
yeah.
She's gone. And so that was like a great twist and difference in how the story has been in all of time. But
Hmm.
this one was just like super clunky and like my oldest, we both looked at each other like, yeah. But there
Well,
were
there
so
was,
many times where we laughed because the dialogue was awful
yeah.
and the product placements along with just the sheer ridiculousness of characters interacting with each other or like the actual scenes just either going on too long or just being stupid for no reason.
Who do you think
Like it
paid the
was,
most for this movie?
I would assume Dakota Johnson.
No, I mean, what sponsor?
Oh, I don't know. Did you notice any sponsors in there? I don't
Um,
really.
the main dude is Tahar drove a Corvette. What rich guy that is, that's not American drives a Corvette? What rich guy in general drives a
Yeah,
Corvette around?
they're not driving American. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're.
no, man. That's a Ferrari. That's a Lambo. That's something. They paid a lot to get that car in there. And man, did Pepsi. How much of this did Pepsi pick up?
That scene at the barbecue where Dakota Johnson is just like twisting the Pepsi can in her
I just,
hands and
just,
just like,
just.
yeah. What yeah, I don't
Ugh.
know.
So I'm gonna go in the baby shower, and
Yeah,
now it's
I'll
on the
just
table.
I'll go over here. It's so
Oh,
stupid.
I'm gonna turn this way.
I did
Um,
like that scene at the baby shower where she's talking about like the deaths of I can't remember what the exact thing was. That's how awful this movie was. But like I at least chuckled when she's having the awkward conversation about like how
oh,
like,
my
oh
mom
yeah, you'll be
died.
fine. You're not gonna
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
you'll
not
be
gonna
fine.
die. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. No. So there was some funny writing, but I do agree. I think that this was cut up a lot. The other Pepsi thing that was absolutely ridiculous to me was at the end. The burned out
Oh.
shell of a building still had a fully functioning and lit Pepsi sign. And as the Pepsi sign fell apart in the burned out building, that in all intents and purposes would have had no power turned out to it because of the active fire that had gone on in it. It was still lit up. It was lit the whole time. Didn't bother me as much as the cab. Stealing the cab. That absolutely would have some level of low jack or tracking in it.
Yeah.
There's no way. And at one point, she just pops the license plates off of it. Like
Yeah, that'll
that's
fix
going to
it.
help.
That
Like the cab
totally
number
fixed it.
isn't in multiple places on the cab, and the hood doesn't have like the taxi badge like riveted to
Yeah.
it. Nope, just pop off these license plates and we're okay.
So talking about the taxi thing, the scene that really just was like eye rolled for me was the diner scene. These where they dance on the table. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Really? The waitress that probably hates working there isn't gonna
Yeah.
fucking yell at you to get down.
Oh,
No, really? This doesn't
I
fit.
I
And
don't know.
then
And who dances on tables? What kind of degenerate chicks were these?
it was the degenerate out of all three of them's idea. Because what's her name? Uh Cornstone Wallace didn't want to jump up there, but she was forced to. And then the other one's like, oh, okay, I'll
Oh,
join in on the fun.
you know,
And like
even
the
though
dudes,
Corn Skull Wallace like had the most appropriate outfit to do it.
yeah, right. It's just so unbelievable. And it's like, oh no, it's cool. Let's just do this. Yeah. Girls trip. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, stop it. Just stop. You guys are fine eating your peach cobbler or whatever the fuck it was, and then now it's like, you know what? You know what could really go good with this cobbler? Table dancing. You want to fuck those guys over there, don't you? Let's dance on the table. They're totally outnumbering us. This
Yeah,
seems safe. This
this is.
seems really safe.
I mean, they needed to keep their options open in case this movie needed to be turned into a porn really quick. They could swing that right in there, man.
Believe it or not, I've got some stuff that will relate to that later. So,
Don't talk to me
well,
about your porn, Dan. You keep your boner jams to yourself.
it's what I did was I took the best boner clips in three. Gotta cut this scene out, but
Oh,
all right, but
don't ruin my boner jams reference, Dan.
all right, but one of the other things that's really important to me is music and movies. And let's talk a little bit about the music. There's not a lot that was used in the movie, but there's some pretty solid hits. You had the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Mystique. Oh God, that scandalous freaking song. I just remember every girl in college just wanting to dance to that, like getting ready for like house parties or whatever. I was like, oh God, please stop playing that song. So when that came on, I was like flashbacks to college where it's like, no, no, hate it, don't like it. Meredith Brooks with Bitch. Fun fact, do you remember on like VH1 that was like the number one song for like 9 years straight?
I haven't seen this song in a movie since Mel Gibson and What Women Want, which is a terrible movie. It's not what women wanted.
But yeah, Britney Spears and Toxic. That song was definitely 2003. And I just remember that song being played everywhere, and all the girls loved it.
You were
So
TRLing the shit out of that, weren't you, buddy?
that no, I was in college. I didn't fucking listen to or watch TRL, and I don't think at that point, I don't even think MTV had music, did it? I don't know. So many girls would just be like, "Oh my god, this is my song!" Like, yeah, your song, just like every other girl here in this bar.
Yeah, because
And
Britney,
like
bitch.
the one song that I really like, Tiffany, I think we're alone now. I even like the original version of that song.
I thought it was
Um,
really funny that while they were running away, they were playing it. Like it
yeah.
actually got me as like a solid reference. It was the best used song.
So some of the like, are you a fan of really having it be on the nose for what the song lyrics are,
If
or
it's
does that take you out of it?
if the movie is a joke, I like jokes everywhere. So
Okay.
yeah, I do. I'm in. Like I'll take it.
So this isn't a joke though. This was like a fairly big budget movie hoping to
I mean,
spawn sequels and
in
spin-offs.
retrospect, it's a joke. Would the director of Thor Ragnarok do this? I think he would.
I don't think he would. No, he'd be like, "Huh, you want me to make that piece of shit? No way." I don't
No,
think
but
so,
would
man.
he use music in that way? And my answer is yes.
Sure. I would say so. Yeah.
And look
But he
how
would do
much
it better.
what I mean, maybe, right? But would Taika do it? Would James Gunn do it? Then I'll do it, right? And
Fair
I've
enough.
come to really enjoy ironic and corny use of music. So that was one of the only parts that I said to my wife, I'm like, they think they're alone now, but they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you had to officially enjoy the Cranberries being in something, right? Like you're obligated through marriage.
I like the cranberries, but when
Mm-hmm.
I saw that at the end, I was like, I looked to my wife, even her, like her face was just like kind of scrunched up. I was
How
like,
dare you?
I
How
don't
dare you?
know. This makes me hate this song now because it's associated with this movie. I wish they wouldn't have made that connection. The old school kid in me where it's like, oh, I don't want it to be too popular. Like, oh, that's what like the posers will listen to that shit. Like if it's in in this movie, it made me think like, oh God, what a bunch of posers. Like this is awful.
Just make your wife watch Empire Records and she'll enjoy the Cranberries again.
Was that in there? I never really was into Empire Records all that much. I
Oh,
watched it, but I was just like, eh. Good
that if
soundtrack overall. I don't remember that being in there though.
I mean,
What
for somebody that really enjoys popular music and movies, you should be more of an Empire Records fan.
it was something about Empire Records that it was too rom-comish for me, I guess. And I didn't relate to the characters enough.
With all your retail experience, it might be a better watch now.
I might I'll maybe I'll
Um,
check it out.
I mean, or you could remember that Dreams was in Twilight,
What?
wasn't it?
No. Cranberries definitely wasn't in Twilight. Believe me,
Hmm.
I know. I know because my wife loves that movie. So it's not. You want to place a bet?
No, I
Bet right
don't.
now.
No, I don't. Google lied to me. Sons of bitches.
Yeah. Yeah. Why go to Google when you have, your fellow co-host that is right about stuff like 98% of the time.
Are you? Are you? Is it 98?
It's pretty high, man. It is pretty fucking high.
Hmm.
And the only time that I will say that I was wrong is because I really just picked the opposite side just for the sake of the bet and the
Just because.
controversy on the podcast.
Just because I wanted to be wrong once. I wanted to see what it felt like.
Although it is so that the thing that I'm talking about is the Thor Love and Thunder versus Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Hmm.
And if we were to go back to it, like I think as from a critical perspective, we enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder better, but I think Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was actually rated higher. So it's debatable on who won that, but yeah, that's pretty much the music. Before we wrap things up, I want to play a little game with you.
All right, let's go.
So this is going to be a little segment. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the game Would You Rather? Well, what we're going to do for today is I'm going to say, would you rather watch Madam Web or something else? Okay, so here we go. Would you rather watch Madam Web or Eternals?
Madam Web.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Eternals
Turtles is
all day
terrible.
long.
Terrible.
Jesus
It's over
Christ.
faster if it's Madam Web. It's over
Oh
way
my
faster.
God. It's better if it's Eternals. I don't care who you're fucking talking to, what
Disagree.
type of snacks you have, what type of drugs you're on. Eternals is going to
Disagree.
be better, hands down.
You asked me, not you.
No, no, no. But I'm giving my input and I'm telling you that you're
You
wrong.
asked the
So
questions here.
I am asking the questions and I will be the authority at the very end. So
Nobody expected
awful.
the Spanish Inquisition.
Awful. 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 All right. Would you rather watch Madam Web or Human Centipede?
Madam Web.
Oh my God.
The pooping in the mouth thing loses me. I just can't.
Uh,
I'd
okay.
rather watch the Human Centipede episode of South Park.
South Park. Yeah, of
Because
course.
that was great.
Cuttlefish or vanilla paste?
You
All right.
accepted the Apple terms and conditions? What are you doing?
Would you rather watch Madam Web or The Room?
Madam
And that's
Web?
oh my gosh, really? All right. Madam Web or Spider-Man 3? The Tobey Maguire one.
Oh, Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
I love the movie.
I would agree. I would agree on that. It's bad, but I would agree.
And Topher?
Well, the man who will not be named. Would you rather watch Madam Web or The Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. At least it's Star Wars.
I think I might watch Madam Web over Last Jedi.
I mean, Space Leia was more dangerous than the Spider-Man in this.
All right.
Space Leia flew through the air more than that guy.
God. Would you rather watch Madam Web or the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Oh God.
That's a tough one.
That's like I'm trying to the main part of this decision comes down to length. And if I'm watching the Star Wars Holiday Special with all of the cameos, is it with or without the cartoon in it? Like, is the cartoon interwoven? I'll watch the Holiday Special solely for the cartoon.
I would watch Madam Web. I would watch Madam Web over that. And I would enjoy it, I think. I think I would enjoy it more than Star Wars Holiday Special. All right. Would you rather watch Cinemax Adult Entertainment or Madam Web?
Is it equal run times? Is it like 30 minutes of Cinemax?
No. It's about 90 minutes of
let's go with something with a plot. Let's go with Madam Web.
At
least there's character development in it.
All right. Would you rather watch Madam Web or 50 Shades of Grey?
Madam Web.
All right. And the last one. Would you rather watch Madam Web or a 90-minute loop of the Ultimate Warrior WWF promos?
Oh, the WWF promos for sure.
All right, cool. All right, good deal, good deal. Well, thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed this segment. But before we get going, I got a question to ask you. I think I know the answer, but when it comes to Madam Web, can you do this all day?
No, I don't think. It took me 3 nights to get the gumption up to actually watch this, and I don't think I'll revisit it. I have no reason to. Like I said, I enjoyed the fact I was surprised at the end that they actually stitched together some kind of character development, but they did terrible things with the character. So I'm good. I've seen it. I can move on. It's like the Eternals for me. It's a no. But maybe you'll surprise everybody, Dan, because you tend to do this. You tend to fully flip the lid on everybody, go full on love with certain things that are just absolute dog shit. The Eternals. So Dan, I gotta ask you, can you do this movie all day? Madam Web.
Nope. But that's our episode for today, everyone. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. This is Dan, the part-time adventurer. That's Mark, the resident Jedi.
Like, subscribe, and make sure you have your quarterly exterminator visits. Spider bites can kill.
We'll see you next time, everyone.